to the Beacon by Soul 33 teachings for your past, present, and future. Good morning, everyone. It is the 15th of July. I'm back in Auckland, New Zealand, exhausted, but I am here as always. And we've got another week. We are mid-July, so there's a lot for us to think about, be aware, progress, and much to discuss. But before we do all of that, don't forget that I am a very small business, so your subscriptions really support me being able to do what I do for you on these platforms and create an app that is your one-stop spiritual journey, your soul progression, your healing, your mental health support with your spiritual guide, me, in your pocket 24/7. So if you are listening to this on YouTube, on Spotify, on the Beacon app, don't forget to tag, like, subscribe, share, all of those things, because it really helps to let people know that this platform exists. So thank you so much for all of you, and those of you who are new listening. Every Monday I do a Monday New Zealand time, or wherever I am in the world, which is usually in New Zealand. I do a Monday Mantra Soul Progression lesson. I write these in a loose kind of framework about a month before, and then before I talk to you about them, I will sort of finish them out a little bit with what is more specific for the week and their general energy forecasts and soul progression lessons. So we're all individuals, we've all got different things going on in our lives. I always focus on the light aspect of things. You know, it's life. Even I have stuff going on in my life, but I always try and focus on what is this teaching me, what is this showing me, and that's what this is about. They're not horoscope predictions or anything like that, because I think it's more important to be able to progress with empowerment rather than just waiting to predict what's going on all the time. So the Monday mantras don't become obsolete after listening to 1 week. If you're listening to them in chapters, go and you missed a couple, go back and listen, because they're all just one after the other, cyclic nature, where we're talking about sometimes very spiritual things, sometimes very practical things, sometimes we're all sort of figuring out what does spirit mean by that. But that's the fun of this journey. It's about just understanding, being present, being the best versions of ourselves. So as most of you who are regular followers of mine, I have been traveling and I've been through to India. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what I learnt on that journey. I went through to Amritsar first, which is where the Golden Temple was. That was the highlight of my trip. It was a beautiful experience. It was so all-encompassing and welcoming. It made sense in terms of the downloads I was receiving from Spirit, in terms of the nectar of life and honey. I spoke to you about that, and that was, I loved Amritsar. Then I went through to Kashmir. I went to Srinagar and Gulmarg. That had a whole different vibe. They call Kashmir the Switzerland of India, and I've not been to Switzerland, but it's very mountainous. People come to Kashmir to ski, beautiful scenic environment. That was a whole beautiful experience there as well. And we, excuse me, we went through to the mountains, that we were surrounded by the Himalayas. It was just a beautiful experience being there. It was a different type of spirituality to what I had experienced in Amritsar, because Amritsar was very much, people go there to go to the temple because it's such a world-renowned temple. You know, people from all over the world go there, Sikhs and beyond, to all different cultures. And then Kashmir was more of the divine connection. The divine connection that is just from nature, the connection of the mountains, the connection with the lake, the connection with the beautiful gardens, and it was just different type of spiritual connection, spiritual ambience there. And then I went through to Delhi, and I've never been to any of these places before, so it was all, a big adventure to me. And Delhi was, again, a whole different vibe of busyness and chaos, but spiritual in its own way. Like, what I love about India, and also I was born a Hindu, so that culture really resonates with me because it was how I grew up. it's everywhere you walk. Spirituality is not just limited to going into a temple. It's like you're walking through the markets and there will be a deity in each corner, or there will be offerings on the ground, or there will be people praying before they open their shops to bring them in the abundance. So it was just really a beautiful experience there. Now, as I go through the Monday Mantra, I'll kind of fill you in on some interesting stories that happen because me being me, there's always something fascinating that's going on in my life. But let's get on to what last week's Monday Mantra was. I'm connecting with what is real and wanted. I am connecting with what is real and wanted. You know, this month of July, it's an emotional month. And I have been feeling that. Obviously, you know, on social media, we only show what we want to show. As I've told you, I've got a sick family member, and I now realize why Spirit had asked me to watch that movie, Touch the Water, because literally that scenario has happened in my life, and I had to stop in Malaysia on the way back, and it was very, very sad. But we have to just take these things, these emotional experiences and lessons in our life, and evaluate how we can still feel safe in our life even when things are feeling unstable outside, you know, and that's the importance. So because I was having this polarity of this amazing adventure, but then there was crying in between because we were concerned about my family member and this person's health and well-being and all of that. So this month, you know, there has been a lot of growth, and it comes from not having any excuses to not follow through with what you want. Like, I really wanted to go on this trip to India, and it was such a last minute spontaneous decision, but I followed through on that because I was thinking, well, when else am I going to go? And for me, it was that. And I brought up Goddess Isis last week. This is something I wanted to tell you. So last week when I was talking to you, I was being shown like this golden plate with all these lines in it, and you know, it was placed inside all of our torsos through me to you who's listening and watching this, if you're watching this on YouTube. But a couple of days ago, Isis came to me and said it was a magnet that I put in there. It's like the pentacles from the tarot suit pentacles, but it isn't the pentacles. It looks like that, but it was a magnetic plate. Now, obviously in India, there's driving for ages. So in the car, I was listening to Spotify, and I started to fall asleep because, you know, India roads can be a little bit rocky and holy. So it takes what would take 30 minutes in New Zealand would take an hour and a half in India. So I was listening to Spotify, falling asleep, and suddenly lyrics came up, Isis is calling. And it was a song about Goddess Isis. And it woke me up immediately. It's like, oh my God, she is calling. She is calling all of us to go through the initiation that we're going through, all of us in our own individual lives, these mini deaths. And the death card had come up psychically last week before talking to you, for me to address with you. And that's what was happening for me. It was like I was living, but then there's this threat of death and unsurety in our lives from someone that's very significant in my family. So that happened twice while I was in India. I haven't heard that song in so long, and it's like a chant, and I can't remember what it's called, but the first lyrics, like it's not even the middle of the song, it's the first thing the singer says is Isis is calling, and it's about the goddess. And so as we are going through these initiations and disruptions, we are coming back to connecting with what is real. This is what, you know, travel changes you. And, you know, I travel probably not as often as some people, but relatively often. I'm a well-traveled person, I would say. And what I feel like when I've come back to New Zealand is that my perspective has shifted. And also with a sick family member, it's like I'm really seeing what's important, like the adventure of life. I met incredible people in India. I was challenged in India. There was it was an opportunity, I guess, if you look at it that way. When I went to check in for my return flight from Delhi to KL, I the lady behind the counter was like, "Madam, you have been randomly selected to go and see customs." And I was like, "Oh, great, okay, wonder what this is about." So anyways, escorted this whole way. It's like this big thing, this lady in this uniform escorting me to behind somewhere, and she was wearing orange. Okay, so because I pay attention to everything, her uniform was bright orange. So I get escorted into this room where there are two customs officers smiling at me. And they start speaking to me in Hindi first, because everyone always assumes I'm Indian from India, but I'm actually Sri Lankan that's never been to Sri Lanka, but born in Malaysia and raised in New Zealand, so it's all a bit of a confusion. But they start speaking to me Hindi. I said, "Oh, I'm sorry." I gave them my passport, and they're like, "Oh, you're from New Zealand?" And I was like, "Yes, yes." And it really wasn't about anything. They were just so happy to chat with me about my life and what I did. And they were trying to keep me there because we became friends. And then I was like, "Is there anything you want to discuss with me?" They don't, no, it's just random. And I was like, "Okay." And so I left there. And the lady in the orange took me back to join the queue to go through security and all of that. And I was sandwiched in between three monks wearing orange. And I was like, the orange is the sacral chakra, right? And I could feel their energy because I was so close to them, sandwiched in between. I could feel their calmness. I could feel their gentleness. I could feel their zen. And I was thinking, everything is all beautifully being orchestrated for me to go because, I could see the guy that came out of the customs room before, he was kind of looking all nervous, whereas I just went in quite relaxed, going, I don't even have anything in my bag. I barely did any shopping. But I actually taught them something because I spoke about a little bit about what I did and intrigued them. And then I was supported in that line with these beautiful monks calming my energy right down with the orange robes. One of them was wearing maroon also, so orange and I would say root chakra, which is all coming back to stability. And so it was coming back to what was real. Like that was just part of their bureaucracy, picking a couple of people at random from the plane to question, even though I wasn't questioned at all. They were just more interested in my life. And then I came back to what was real, which was being present and I'm like, wow, I'm in India right now. How lucky am I? So how have disruptions on your journey, whether you've had to change something, whether there has been physical death, for me it's the threat of death, and things changing, because death is also transformation. It's the growth that is needed for us to not have any excuses anymore and to just do the things that we want to do, the connection back to what we want, which is what the Monday Mantra was about. I was told by Spirit that all that we have experienced is making it easier in some way to prepare for life and all the things that come with it. Because life isn't easy. Life has these polarities, and it's okay to enjoy one side of your life while another side is changing, where there's a death happening or whatever. We have to look at the gifts in between, the connections in between. When we don't do and when we don't face hard things, we can't see what is real. For me, when I arrived in Malaysia, I was really nervous to go and see my sick family member. I love this person a lot. I didn't want to see them any different to how I knew them. And I really was like, oh gosh, I was telling my mum, do I have to come? And I was like, no, I'm here. Like, I'm actually here in this part of the world for a reason. Like, my mum said to me, you are here for a reason. You need to go. And so I went, and I faced it and cried and cried and cried. But it helped me look at the reality of aging. It helped me look at nothing lasts or stays the same forever, and that we have to do what we want to do. And I realized why Spirit was taking me on the sequence of events to show me what is real. So what have you discovered is real now from the disruptions that you are happening in your life? And it all comes back to love, doesn't it? Love within the family, love within relationships, love for your children, for your animals, for your friends, whoever it is that this love is trying to be reignited to come back to that sense of connection. With loss, hang on, I'm going to get to that part. So doing hard things is really important. Challenging ourselves at the moment to see what is real, facing reality. And that nectar and that honey energy, that essence of life's beauty, which is your devotion to all of life cycles. We have to take all the beautiful light with the shadow sides of things and understanding that that is actually just life presenting in the way that we need for our growth and for us to understand. Loss and gain creates an equilibrium, and that is really important to understand, that hard times don't last forever, and when there is a door closing, another one opens to bring back that balance again. With sudden, unexpected changes, it gives us the clarity we are looking for. Sometimes it can feel very confusing at the time because, humans are emotional beings. We get triggered, we get upset, we remember too much sometimes. And especially if there's something that we really knew underneath, like the truth being revealed, and the change that's needed, but because we haven't done anything about it, when disruption happens or when there's sudden change, it's like we have to face that now. We have to look at what we've been doubting and be like, wow, I'm actually faced with this reality. Because seeing that sick family member has been really eye-opening for me. Like, I've come back from my trip different. I've come back from seeing my beloved family member different, and I'm like, right, I'm going to live my life even more. We are walking away from thought patterns, people, behaviors, or perhaps toxic situations. I thought about this, and for me, it wasn't about, that particular part wasn't relevant to last week per se. It's in general for me. I realized that how I've been doing things for me have been detrimental to my well-being. I realized that there are people within my life that are not telling the truth. This is not my immediate life, but like not directly, but through this bigger situation. And it's like, well, we can take the higher road. We can take the higher road of kindness and firmness, but not stooping to the level of defensiveness and accusation. So I think some of us need to hear that, because there's things happening where we're trying to evoke change, but we need to do it with kindness and firmness. What do you need to leave behind? I left so much in India, and I've come back different, and I just now am seeing the direction even clearer from me walking away from my life for a short period of time, experiencing and seeing completely different things, and coming back with more love in my heart from being with family also briefly on the way back, and seeing obstacles starting to move aside, because we're coming back to, the sacral chakra and the root chakra, which were the colors that I saw through the monk and through the experience of the customs men that I met and all of that. It's coming back that if we're feeling insecure, we need to stabilize those two chakras by connecting to what we want. It's so important. Time goes by so quickly, and that's what we need to focus on, always what we want and what we can work with. When we think of a call to action, there's an element of strategy to induce performance. There's an evaluation energy this last week that's just been, that will be shown that we are supplied for. We went through some really testing times last week with the family, and we had to have a call to action because it was a completely urgent situation that took place, and we had to get something directly done. But it's actually worked out in a way where it's brought in more support, it's brought in collaboration, it's brought in teamwork. And if we're open-minded to facts at this time, you're going to filter out what is not real, what is fake, what is the illusion, and come back to what serves us for this next stage of life. Patience is always really needed in life, because we do things need to catch up. Like, I'll be processing and integrating this trip for a while because it was just so, those of you who've been to India's full on. Like, it's really full on. It's you've got to be prepared. You've got to be a strong traveler when you go to India, regardless of how you're doing it, whether you're roughing it or you're doing it high end. And everything's kind of catching up right now. As we move through the week, I shared my experience about the chinar tree. This was a beautiful place at the Mughal Gardens. There were two Mughal gardens that we were taken to in my tour, and the chinar tree. My tour guide was saying that the chinar tree is really revered and respected in the Kashmir region because of its healing properties. So he's like, take your shoes off and sit under there, and I could feel it. It's like oh my goodness. He said to me, the tree is like a magnet. So that's why, okay, now I'm connecting all the dots. So he said to me, the chinar tree is like a magnet. Once you sit under it, you're not going to want to get out. And it was true. Like, I sat under it for ages. But being surrounded by the Himalayas, it was just the simplicity of everything, like watching the children playing in the water fountains and people lying under the chinar trees. And it was just a type of magnet to nature. So now I understand. Okay, I'm having my epiphanies too when I talk to you, because remember, I'm on this journey with you. So it was like the true essence of life's beauty was what I felt in Kashmir, because it was like a different type of connection. Then the strength card came up with the tree. And so that was like the day after I went to see the chinar tree. And after my experience under that tree, I can see why that card was divinely selected. And that strength that is derived from many places helps us connect. Like, we have internal strength. We have strength that we lean on with people. We have strength from wherever we get it, our pets, our friends. And we are connecting with what is real so that we can feel secure, especially when there's destabilization happening because of circumstances changing, but changing for the better, even if it results in physical death. That's not the end of the story. It's the end of the physical story, but the spiritual story keeps going on. Anything that uproots us is going to land us elsewhere, but stronger than before. To do what is right requires strength. So what does doing the right thing mean to you? Really think about that going into this week. It may not please everyone. It may cause fear, jealousy, all of those things. But you know that to create and test strength, we have to follow through with what we say we will do with honesty and grace. So if you're been walking away from something, or you can't do something anymore, it's that test of that strength, and it's going to come back to what is honest, what is real, what is graceful. I mean, we are all strong, and that strength is coming from within us all and around us. But if we look, we will see the support and the solutions presenting themselves. There's always going to be some form of solution, even if it seems like a dire situation, because what is dire to us is actually not dire spiritually. The strength card comes up to remind us that our strength is key right now. Like, I needed the strength to go and face the family situation and those sad changes, but it's happening in our lives for a reason. We're being uprooted to be rooted more deeply because we're wanting to connect deeper. Like, it's re-established a deeper connection with my parents too, because I'm realizing, and like I knew it, but really knowing that people are not going to be there in that form forever, and we need to make the most of it. Then I shared the Dal Lake, the jewel of Srinagar. I stayed on a houseboat that was, built from the late 1800s to 1900s when the British landed in India. And this was a really beautiful experience. The boats are not mobile. They are built stationary. They always were. And it was really special being on Dal Lake because, you're surrounded by the Himalayas. The lake is clear and a natural lake. There's beautiful wildlife, cranes, all kinds of birds, lotuses, lilies, that beautiful rainbow picture that I shared on the Himalayas as I was going by my Shikara boat to the boathouse. Really amazing. And what I loved about this, because I was reaping all of the energy that I could to heal me, was that, through my tour guide and research, Dal Lake is actually mentioned in very ancient Sanskrit texts, and that is because goddess Durga is from a place close by, like that connects with the Dal Lake. So I loved that about that experience. The extended meaning of the Monday mantra: when we work on connections during disruptions, So for me, this was about connecting with what was going on, because when we have stressful situations, it's easy to be defensive, to be accusatory, to feel threatened, unstable. But we need to come back to, okay, how do we connect with these people? Because when you are truthful, it will decipher whether the other person is telling the truth. You don't need to go, you're lying, or whatever the situation is, but it helps us work together with support rather than with resistance. And when we focus on connection, some people may not be able to handle it, and letting go naturally happens. You are then left with what is real. Like, I've been really looking at who is real, what is real, like this natural beauty that I experienced in India, particularly in Kashmir, because the environment was pure, the way earth was formed. It was like, I am connected to this. We all are, even though, you have been on this journey with me, because my energy affects all of the people that come to me or have anything to do with me. But sometimes we don't actually have to actively let go. It happens when we are being truthful and authentic in who we are. And if we can accept death, if we can accept that transformation, that change, we are allowing things to run their natural course, but it comes back to connecting with everything deeper, living and loving more. Lots to think about there, but remember, I am always here for you. And remember, I'm also just one person. I'm trying my best to see everybody and do all the things, but there are wait lists right now, and that's just the nature of my work. I can't see a million people as much as I wish I could, but it's always the right time when you see me. And there's just so many different ways to connect with me briefly, whether it's a mini reading, a soul magic, energy candle. Personalized meditations are always a fantastic way for you to heal in your own time. Those take me a long time, because I really tune into what you need, and I spend that whole time channeling the frequency for you. Every individual gets a unique frequency based on what you need. So they can take me a few hours to do, but they're worth the investment for getting one. So email Karen, soul33@gmail.com. Don't sit with any IT problems. Tell us. Email Karen. If you leave it in the group chat, it'll be missed, because the group chat, it doesn't run forever and ever. And also there's people with the same name, so we need to know who you are. So email Karen and she'll get on to that. Okay. Oh, and app memberships. Remember, those are done by the external link so that I can keep your subscriptions at a price that is affordable for everybody. Because if I have it on the app stores, it will be triple the price. Okay, so get the link of Karen to renew or become a member, and she's the one to go to for all of those questions. Okay, this week's Monday mantra. I am a magnet to receive and express myself fully. I'm a magnet to receive and express myself fully. That magnet of the chinar tree, the magnet that Isis put into us, that pentacles in our torso, is going to be now activated, because we were being initiated, and now that calling in for our higher learning is going to help us progress further. So later in the week, last week, she told me, Isis, it's a magnet I've placed inside of all of you that have been listening to this and connected to my energy. It made complete sense, and now I had the download of connected to the chinar tree magnet. And as we go through this week and we're wanting to receive, it's really about expression this week, and how you express yourself with truth, with honesty, with integrity, with authority, with kindness. So we're using those magnets inside of us to attract things for us to take charge of the situations in our lives. This does not mean bossing people around. It just means being empowered. We are now mid-July, okay? It's going to be the end of July very, very soon. We're post the new moon. We're moving into the experiencing and learning from our individual lives. We are wanting this for our further progress. And new ways of communication is going to be important this week. You might find, especially for those who are in long-term relationships, or we are trying to get things across differently, or even businesses communicating things differently, You may not be changing what you're saying, but it's how you're saying. And what I've said is prior to this is the preface for all of this. Don't want accusation, don't want defensiveness. We want to be kind, we want to be firm, we want to ask questions, to be as a team. And changing how you communicate this week is going to be needed, how you express yourself, whether it's in business, at home, or at work. If you've been saying or asking for something and it's been falling on deaf ears, are you truly being heard? And what do you need to do to be heard? I'm hearing now that sometimes we do need to do extreme things. I'm not saying in a bad way, like that a sense of adventure, that sense of risk, doing the hard things to actually get the change that we're looking for. Singing. I know that sounds so bizarre, but the Spirit gave me the word tune, and it's like a new tune of what has been said before will give us a different outcome. It's about reframing, but those of you who sing or like to sing, you may not even be good at it. It's use your voice to sing, to say things, to change the tune. Being stable emotionally is going to be really important. This week, it's Cancer, the month in the zodiac, and it's an emotional sign. That's why Spirit is saying we need to be emotionally stable, dealing with the facts to come from a place of stability. We want to remain adaptable, but still taking charge, but also being free to choose how you do things rather than being controlled. Adaptability is really important because, as we know, life changes. It can change in an instant, but we want to also feel like we have the freedom to choose on a soul level, which is sometimes unconscious, but on a personality level, knowing that we've chosen something because it's for our higher learning, it's for our distinguishing who we are in this life. Sing your own song, whatever that means. Express yourself fully. Use that magnet energy we've been given through the Isis initiation, and trust in the abundance that is there for us, because remember that golden plate is like the pentacle symbol of abundance, of wealth, and it's not just financial, it's abundance of love, of collaboration, of teamwork, of relationships. You're going to receive signs this week and messengers in all forms. So because I've been hearing tunes, and Isis is calling, those words that came up in the lyrics, that first lyric before even music comes on, the singer says Isis is calling. You might hear things that are going to kind of prompt you to go, that is a messenger, that is a sign. So respond to the signs, examine what people are saying. Is it truth? Is it fake? Is it false? Is it real? Is it honest? And how they're behaving, and take the messages that are coming to you from Spirit for your higher learning, for you to express yourself more. The card that came up when I was sat down to record this was the Ace of Wands. The number 1 is going to be important this week, so don't know what that means, but share in the group chat how anything works out for you, or what messages you're receiving, or signs, or whatever. But the Ace of Wands, so this is being inspired, having new opportunities, growth, potential, all of that with this Ace of Wands energy, because we are now a new way of being. There's a whole new possibility available to us, and we have to follow our heart and follow our passions. And remember, when I talk about that, it's not suddenly becoming an artist or a DJ or whatever. It's the passion for life. And that's what I experienced when I went to India. I had an adventure. I'm home with that adventurous spirit. I've also experienced very deep sadness, but it is wanting me to live more. I am here for you, and Kieran is the person to ask if you need anything, soul33@gmail.com. I'm going to now activate our magnets within us. So close your eyes now if you can and you're not driving. And I want you to see that golden plate inside of you, wherever Isis placed it in your torso last week when you were listening to the Monday mantra, and just see it there. And Isis is calling. Isis is calling you to express yourself fully. Isis is calling and activating your magnet now to receive fully. You have learned, we've all learned from our experiences, and now to further move along, we need to be open to receive and express fully as who we are. Have a wonderful week. Don't forget to ask for whatever services you need if you're needing some support, and just trust the timing of everything. It'll come at the right time in general. Sending you so much love and support and magnetic energy for all the good things. And remember, the opposite is true too. So if you're receiving things that you don't want, you need to look at your energy and what you need to do to heal that, so that you are getting the experiences that are true to you, that gives you more love and support. I am a magnet to receive and express myself fully. I'm a magnet to receive and express myself fully.